Hello, hello, Dr. Stephanie. We are live. I just brought you in, so I want to make sure that you know that.
I figured my internet's been a little wonky and it took me a minute to get in. So here we are. Yay.
You are. No worries, no worries. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. I've been really looking forward to having you on, and I know that our viewers are excited to hear from you as well. I am just really intrigued. You have such an incredible background, and just all the degrees that you have, and all the things that you have done. And so, I really was encouraged and excited to talk to you about really the fact that you are a stress management expert. And one of the things that I have really noticed as we're emerging from COVID, right? And we have, new people to meet and places to go and things to see and do. And I've noticed that people have a lot of stress around that. So first of all, I would love for you to just kind of give me a background on your stress management expertise, and then maybe talk a little bit about that and how we can manage that part of our stress life and our stress life.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Stress is it's a response and a perception, but people think it's an emotion. It does show up in our emotions. We'll say, I'm feeling stressed. Oh my gosh, Karrie, I'm so stressed. But they don't really understand maybe what they're saying. And I think it's helpful to understand a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of open with a joke. I tend to try to use humor to lighten it up. So
I love it.
one of my favorite sayings is, change is hard, try bending a coin, right?
Yes. I love it. I love it.
And our nervous system, we're so beautifully designed. We're so divinely designed. It's just lovely. And it is designed to adapt quickly and habituate behaviors to save energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we can change on it, literally a dime, change on a dime, right?
Right.
And then when we're asked to change back, it's a little bit of a conundrum for us because we are forward moving, forward thinking people, beings, whatever, human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And so to go back to a time and place that no longer exists is really a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's millions and trillions of miles in the past, and hours upon hours in a timeline that no longer has relevance to who we are today. So people will say, "Well, we're getting back to normal," but there is no getting back. There is just adapting to the new normal. So stress is actually the demand for change. There's that word, placed on an organism. So it's an adaptive demand placed on an organism. And it doesn't matter what the organism is. It could be a one-celled amoeba. It could be a human being of trillions of cells. When we are asked to change our environmental, either external or internal changes, we are being asked to adapt to that change. And so stress is a perception based on how well I think I am handling things. Okay.
Yeah.
My favorite example is a lot of times you're not aware of how anxious you are until the gap between your coping skills and the demand comes into play. So I used to be a pilot, and people say, "Oh, how can you fly in those small airplanes and things?" And I'd say, "What? It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun." So my perception of flying is that it's fun, especially beautiful here in this mountainous area in Glenwood Springs. It's fun, it's enjoyable. You get up, you get a different perspective, you get some altitude or some height, and you look down and things that loom so big in your perspective all of a sudden are just small and not as significant. So what happens with stress is the difference between your perception of a stressor and your perception of your coping skills.
Ah,
Okay, so my coping skills are here, and I think flying is fun. So my stress around flying, pretty negligible because I
mhm,
know how to fly. I know how to fly safely. I know what to do. I've been well trained. So
mhm,
my stress around that is pretty low. But say a friend of yours has a fear of flying, and for a year that was never active for them. It wasn't part of their world, right? Because we weren't flying.
mhm,
So they think in a way that they've kind of gotten over it. So they book a trip
mhm,
and they say, "Oh, that's okay. I can fly. Minimal stress right now," right? So they
mhm,
book their trip, but now they remember they're afraid of flying and their coping skills are okay, but they're not great. Okay.
mhm,
Then
mhm,
they drive to the airport. Whew.
mhm.
Then they enter the airport. Whew. Then they go to their gate. Whew. And their coping skills that they thought were working really well are non-existent at this point because the stressor is so great.
Mhm,
It's taking away their ability to manage and cope. And so when it comes time to board the airplane, they might even go into a full-fledged panic attack
mhm,
because they forgot or didn't remember or they weren't called to remember where some of their stressors were.
mhm, mhm. That
Does
makes
that kind of help explain why some of this is coming up?
absolutely, that makes so much sense. I know I've read a lot about memory and memory being attached to an actual um, physical reaction. Which, you
Mhm.
know, if we have the memory, we have the thought that creates the release of the toxin or the chemicals in your body,
Right.
right?
Stress
And
chemicals.
the stress chemicals, yeah, and it could be good stress, it could be bad stress,
Yeah.
right? We but someone once said that people can actually get addicted to bad stress or good stress. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, we do it. The old saying is, how do you boil a frog? You put him in cold water and gradually increase the temperature so it doesn't know it's getting hot.
Yeah.
Okay. The
Mhm,
same thing with a stress reaction. It's not a response. The eustress is a response. The distress is a reaction. And so you kind of build up this chemical soup.
mhm,
And not to get too technical, but then your cells replicate with lots of receptor sites for these stress chemicals.
mhm,
And if they don't receive the minimum number, they start kind of creating an internal environment of stress so that you produce more chemicals so that your cells feel like they're getting the stress response they need, the stress
mhm,
reaction they need.
mhm.
Whereas when you build a eustress response, you're creating more cells with receptor sites for positive chemicals.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily an addiction, but it's a way the body has accommodated and grown cells and grown memories, muscle memories, cellular memories
Mhm,
of,
mhm,
of stress soup in the body. And then when that environment is shifted, they keep looking for the stress chemicals. And if they're not there, they go, okay, well, I'll just agitate you with a thought or feeling state so that you produce them so that
mhm.
now I'm satisfied. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. I mean, that makes it so much clearer, and I think that we forget that, our thoughts create feelings,
Mhm.
which create a result in our body. And
Yeah.
when our body is feeling different things, we perform differently,
Yes.
and that creates a result in our life,
Yes.
right? And so everything starts with our thinking, and that just kind of backs it up with that.
Or it starts with our feeling. Again, there's
Yeah.
there's not a separation.
Mhm, mhm,
When I taught at the college, I would say mind body is an identity. It's not even a connection, because a connection implies I can unplug it or that they're separate. When you have a complete identity like that, a thought is a feeling state and a
Mhm.
feeling state is a thought.
Mhm.
There's just not there's just
Mhm.
not any separation.
Mhm.
However, it is sometimes easier to manage our thoughts because they have words and language, and so we think we
Mhm.
understand. Our feeling states can be a jumble of a rush of molecules of emotion and hormones and neuropeptides and chemicals,
Mhm. Mhm.
corticosteroids and all of those things that just kind of whoa, and you're not quite sure what to do with.
Mhm.
But if you have a thought, you can shift it because you
Mhm.
can change the language.
Yes, yes. And so you can we actually have control over our feelings or our actions by
Mhm.
changing our thought feelings,
Our thought feelings.
changing the frequency, changing the vibration of what you're doing. Yes.
Yes.
Love it. I love it.
Yes.
So tell me, when we're feeling this negative stress, this distress, what are some techniques that we can use to change that other than changing your thoughts? But there's more.
Well, I have a YouTube channel, and in there I have 5 self-healing skills. The
Mhm,
first one is belly breathing.
mhm,
It's simple, it's free, and when you do it correctly, you can do it all the time, especially when you're noticing that you're having to come to the jetway and all of a sudden you're feeling anxious and sweat is pouring out all of your pores and you're
mhm,
getting lightheaded and all of those stress responses. Belly breathing shifts you out of that sympathetic fight, flight, or freeze
mhm,
nervous system response
mhm,
into peace and calming rest and digest.
mhm,
Belly
mhm,
breathing is the most instantaneous, healthy way to use as maybe a coping skill,
mhm,
um, to
mhm,
shift out of an unwanted state and into a desired state.
mhm, mhm. And when you're in that desire, when you're doing that belly breathing, what are you saying to yourself? I mean, I know that you're kind of, I refer to it as getting in touch with the spiritual side of your nature, right? That
Mhm.
we're becoming present and in the moment, right?
Yes.
But then there's something that has to happen after that in order for us to start reprogramming that distress, right? So how do we move from there?
So again, I recommend belly breathing, and as I'm breathing in spirit or white light or inspiration, or I'm actually just tracking the breath through
Hmm.
my energy centers known as chakras. So I
Hmm.
might be tracking it from the crown and brow and throat and heart chakras. I'm just tracking it and allowing that breath to come in and nourish a body that really does want to release the toxins of stress chemicals.
Hmm. Hmm.
So on my exhalation, I'm releasing all that's no longer needed.
Hmm.
The second thing I recommend people do is, I'm sorry, I'm a Bronco fan,
That's okay. That's good.
adequate hydration. A
Mm,
cell that doesn't have enough oxygen or enough water is a stressed cell,
mm,
and it'll vibrate into its environment. I'm stressed.
mhm,
So you can create stress by not having enough oxygen in your blood, by not having enough water, by not having food. All of those things can create part of that stress response of, yeah.
mhm, mhm,
So my second self-healing skill is drinking enough water. And the rule of thumb is usually 1/2 ounce per pound of body weight. That
1
kind of
ounce per pound of body weight.
one
Okay.
half ounce. So a 100-pound person would drink 50 ounces.
Mhm, mhm,
And that works. It's kind of an individualized formula. And of course,
mhm,
if you exercise and you feel sweat, you do want to drink just a little bit more to
mhm,
accommodate that excess release of water.
mhm,
The
mhm,
third is a word that you mentioned, awareness.
mhm, mhm,
Becoming aware of your thoughts, becoming aware of your feelings. Sometimes they're so habituated, Carrie, that we don't even
mhm,
notice when we're there.
mhm,
Like the frog in the hot water. It's
mhm,
hotter, it's hotter, it's hotter, but he's not aware that that environment is so damaging to him.
mhm,
So the awareness key is key.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about awareness?
Well, I'm an advocate. I mean, that's what I promote in my programs, and I believe that the more awake and alive we are, the better our world will be. But I also, I'm what came to mind was several of my clients have anxiety, and one of the things that I was taught, and I'm not a medical coach or anything, but when they start, I give this little tip that I've been told is that when you start to feel anxious, start taking the belly breaths and become aware of your surroundings. So notice the floor, notice the couch, notice things so that you can bring yourself back to the present moment, to the awareness that it's okay. And that just kind of reiterates and solidifies what you and I are both saying, is that when
Yes.
we need to stay present and focused in the moment, and that's where our awareness is.
So that's my fourth self-healing skill, is actually live in the present moment.
Yeah.
Because when you are anxious, the degree of anxiousness you are experiencing tells me how far out of the present moment you are projecting
Mm-hmm.
yourself into the future or into the past.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we talked about stress being a perception and
Mm-hmm.
then your coping skills. When you are so far into the future sending worry about next month, there's nobody home here to even do those coping skills
Mm-hmm.
and lower your corticosteroid level or those things, because
Mm-hmm.
you're out there in a place that doesn't even exist yet.
Right.
So, living in the present moment when you're having an anxiety attack, one of the questions you might ask, which is similar to what you suggested, where am I other than right here, right now?
Mm-hmm.
Am I sending regrets and shame and blame and guilt to the past? Or am I projecting worry, concern, anxiety into the future? Because the higher the degree of that, from my philosophy, the less present you are in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
A
absolutely.
fullness of life, love, joy
Mm-hmm.
exists in the present moment, and you can't be in worry and joy at the same time.
Mm-mm. No.
Those are two very different states of being.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. I
your
love.
perception of my future is threatening
Mm-hmm.
means you're sending a lot of energy out there through worry or concern, and there's no one here
Mm-hmm.
driving the bus.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. Yeah. I mean, so many of us, fear becomes a factor when we start to think about, emerging from COVID. What's it going to look like? Am I going to, do I need to wear a mask? Do I need to be, vaccinated? Am I going to get it when I get out there? And again, just like you're saying, that is worrying about the future. If we
Yes.
just stay present and focused on the moment, where we are in the moment, our immune system is actually working better, correct?
Stress destroys high levels of immune function.
Mm-hmm.
The chemicals of health and well being cannot coexist in the environment of stress.
Yes.
Okay, so present moment living, your immune system is very robust. And it
Mm-hmm.
tells you all the time, we're feeling really good. We've got the energy. We're
Yeah.
And so the likelihood of getting ill is minimized when you are happy, joyful, filled with the present moment
Mm-hmm.
life.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to get sick is when you have no energy left to function. And your immune system, if we think in terms of energetic dollars, it's very expensive to run.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you're
Mm-hmm.
depleting your energy stores through worry or being stressed, you can't fund a healthy, robust immune system. So the question of shots or not shots, do what your intuition asks you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Do what your guides or your guidance tells you to do is best for you. So the question is it in my highest good to have this shot?
Mm-hmm.
and you'll know.
Mm-hmm.
But then once you have it, if you continue to stress about it, will it work? Won't it work? Will it work against the new variants? Da, 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 you are almost defeating the purpose of having had the shot in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, so true.
Stress is the underlying cause of all disease.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a very blanket statement, but the glands that are involved, the hippocampus, hypothalamus, pituitary, all of your endocrine system, your glands, are influenced by your level of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And their functioning is shifted and changed by your level of stress.
Mm-hmm.
So the less stress you allow, and this is a conscious choice and an aware, present moment choice,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the healthier you stay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I'm such an advocate for that. You know, I know that again, and when my family members were stressing about COVID, guess what? Those are the ones that got sick.
Sick. Yes.
Right. And, me, I mean, I just stayed in I did what I do, and I just became very aware of what I was doing and my feelings and my present moment. And so I love that. I love that. Thank you. So there's one more, I believe, one more.
Yes, and that is a gratitude reflection or a journal of some kind at the end of the day. When you write something down, just like even gratitude, you activate 5 more centers of your brain. And remember those endocrine glands that I mentioned, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, they all sit in the brain. So
Mhm,
by creating a healthy brain, you create healthy functioning of your gland system that's there in your brain. So
mhm,
when you write, you activate 5 more centers
mhm,
and your brain gets more engaged and you get more whole brained with what you're doing. So even if you just write gratitude at the end of the day, or
mhm,
it was a great day, or I had fun doing, or I had a great interview with Karrie. It was so lovely. I enjoyed every minute of it. She's such a sweetheart.
mhm,
That pays energetic dividends. It doesn't
mhm,
cost you energy.
mhm.
So you replenish your energetic stores with present moment living, gratitude, and the awareness of being grateful.
Yes, you fill up your gratitude, your spiritual bank account, I guess.
Yes,
Is what it
yes, absolutely.
I
You make
love that.
deposits in there instead of withdrawals all the
I
time.
I absolutely love that. Oh my gosh, this has been so incredibly amazing. I just knew that we were so much in alignment. I was so excited to have you on, Dr.
Yes,
Stephanie, and just the wisdom that you brought to our viewers. It's just I know they're going to absolutely love it.
yes.
I do have some contact information for you that I will be posting in this post, so that anybody who wants to get in touch with you will have that information. But tell me, what is it that you have going on that you can give us a little inside information on? Anything, any upcoming classes or workshops or events that we might be interested in hearing about?
Yes, I'm actually getting ready, and I wish I had the information ready. I've been working on it for 2 days, but my internet went out. And
Oh, yeah.
instead of stressing, it came out on paper.
There you go. Always more ways to improvise,
It's
right?
like, "Okay, well, that's not gonna work today. What can I do?
That's
Okay,
right.
what
What
else
can
is
we do?
possible?"
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
right.
great question.
Mhm,
I am and if someone is interested, I am getting ready to work on a chakra program,
mhm,
not necessarily balancing your chakras, because a lot of that information is out there, but what chakra is getting you stuck, and how can you work to release it? So, let's think in terms of stress, okay? When you are stressed, the image that came to mind yesterday, excuse the analogy, is like a clogged pipe, right?
uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh,
And if there's just a little clog in there, sometimes it'll resolve itself, sometimes it won't.
mhm,
How do you approach recreating flow? So some people use chemicals to get in there.
mhm,
Some people use a massive plunger to just kind of force their way through.
mhm,
But that creates even more stress, and if the pipe isn't straight and it doesn't flow, it's going to come back.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm working with in the chakras. Your
Mhm.
energy system is flow. It is movement. It is designed to move,
Mhm.
but fear will stop it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And sometimes in the first chakra, the fear, it runs the first chakra a lot of times, and people don't recognize that. So if you get stuck about even being able to move forward in today's new environment, it's a brave new world.
Mhm.
It's a brave, we're in places we've never been before.
Mhm. Mhm.
And how do you move through that with ease and joy, grace and glory?
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
I'll leave you with my email right now, but we can update the information as my page gets built because right
Awesome.
now it's not being built.
Okay. Okay. Well, they can at least get on your website and on your mailing list, right?
Yes.
So,
I
um,
do have a membership site and
okay.
they can join. It's free to join.
Okay.
And then as things come out, they'll be notified
Awesome.
as
Okay.
things emerge. So my website is www.makingshiftshappen, SHIFTS, makingshiftshappen.com. And
Okay.
you can join for free. And then if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about who I am, what I do, we can have a call just like you and I did.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Find out a little bit more about where we kind of mesh, where things work together for us,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just have a great time.
Yeah, awesome. Well, this
Yeah.
has been a great time. I so appreciate your time and I appreciate you and your willingness to come on and share your immense knowledge with these beautiful women who are in this group. And I just know that this is going to be a powerful opportunity for them to really shift, make some shifts happen
Make
in their
some shifts. Right. That's
life.
the name of the game for me.
That's right.
And actually, my corporate name that I incorporated with was Live Your Present Moment,
Okay. Yeah.
because that is for me the key to living a fulfilling, purposeful life.
Amen. Amen to that for sure.
So,
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so very much. I just adore you and I'm excited to work more with you. So thank you for being here today. And for those of you who are watching, I'm going to post all of her information in all the comment sections that I am streaming this into. So you all have it. I'm sure that you're going to be loving working with Dr. Stephanie. I appreciate that so much. So thank you again. And we'll talk to everybody next Wednesday. Take care,
and
everyone.
thank you. And I'll write the gratitude in my journal for you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.